When the personal vessel for that archetype, your own mother, was the source of a wound, whether through engulfment or neglect, a devastating psychic event occurred. In an act of self-preservation, you may have severed your connection to the entire archetypal realm she represents. You threw out the sacred archetype with the painful personal experience. This is a primary source of the emptiness and alienation that haunts modern man. You have exiled half of your own kingdom. Reclaiming your full power, the true power of the integrated Sigma, means consciously reconnecting with this positive, life-giving aspect of the Great Mother archetype. This is not about becoming soft, it is about becoming whole. It means learning to nurture yourself with a fierce and protective loyalty. It means honoring your body's signals as sacred communication. It means learning to trust your gut feelings as a valid and powerful form of intelligence. It means creating not for applause, but for the sheer joy of bringing something new into the world. The strongest, most grounded, and individuated masculine energy always rests upon a healthy and integrated feminine foundation. To reclaim this lost kingdom is to come home to the totality of yourself. 9. Rebirth is a myth. You rewrite with blood and ink. The culmination of this profound psychological journey is not a gentle arrival into a land of comfort and ease. It is a death and a rebirth. This is the ultimate goal of what Carl Jung called the process of individuation. It is the death of the child who was defined by the mother's shadow, the child who navigated the world through a lens of guilt, obligation, and fear. What emerges from the ashes of that old self is the self, a new center of personality that is grounded, whole, and unapologetic. This reborn self no longer makes choices based on the echoes of ancient guilt or the need for external approval. It chooses from a place of deep inner alignment and sovereign authority. This is the man who has integrated the lessons of Stoicism, understanding what is and is not within his control, and his inner world is now firmly within his command. This new self engages in what can only be described as sovereign authorship. He seizes the pen from the hand of the ghost and begins to write his own myth. The old story, "I must shrink to be loved," is burned. The new story begins, "I exist, therefore I belong. My power is my own." He builds ferocious boundaries, not out of anger, but out of a sacred duty to protect the hard-won territory of his own soul. He learns to parent the wounded inner child, giving him the safety and validation he never received. He creates not for the approval of a maternal gaze, but as a defiant act of his own existence. This is the ultimate Sigma reality, to break the ancestral spells and psychological chains not through brute force, but through a profound and courageous inner revolution. Your life is no longer a story that is happening to you. The blank page is terrifying, but for the first time, it is truly yours. It is freedom. Right. This is the work. It's the journey from being a reactor to being a creator. It's the path that separates the men from the boys who simply inhabit men's bodies. The principles we explore here at Sigma Male Community aren't just theories. They are operational tactics for the war that matters most, the one waged inside your own skull. If you are ready to stop being a product of your past and start being the architect of your future, then your journey with us is just beginning. Subscribe and commit to the discipline of self-liberation. The world doesn't need more men running on empty, haunted by ghosts. It needs conscious, integrated, and sovereign men. Become one of them. They call us lone wolves. They misunderstand our silence. Welcome to Sigma Male Community, the only sanctuary for men who forge their own path, who answer to no one but the architect within. Forget the noise, the fleeting trends, the desperate cries for validation. Here, we dissect the very fabric of your being, the intrinsic code etched into your psyche from the moment you entered this world. Today, we delve into the profound insights of Carl Jung, not through dusty academic texts, but through the raw, unfiltered lens of your birth month. Prepare to unlock a hidden dimension of your personality, a psychological blueprint that has been silently dictating your strengths, your shadow tendencies, and your ultimate potential. This isn't about astrology. It's about understanding the archetypal energies that Carl Jung identified as the fundamental building blocks of the human psyche, and how the timing of your arrival on this plane has imbued you with a unique configuration of these powerful forces. Stay with us, absorb this knowledge, and prepare to see yourself and the world around you with an entirely new level of clarity and command. January. The Arctic Strategist. For those born in the heart of January, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes resonates deeply with the stark and unforgiving nature of the winter landscape. Your emergence during this period, when nature itself seems to withdraw and conserve energy, aligns with what we at Sigma Male Community recognize as the Arctic Strategist. According to Carl Jung, the sage archetype embodies wisdom, introspection, and a deep understanding of fundamental truths. In the January-born individual, this isn't a passive, contemplative wisdom, but rather a highly tactical form of intelligence. Imagine the frozen tundra. Survival depends on meticulous planning, calculated movements, and the ability to anticipate threats long before they materialize. Similarly, your mind is inherently geared towards strategic thinking, capable of dissecting complex situations and formulating long-term plans with remarkable precision. You possess an innate ability to cut through the superficial and focus on the core elements of any challenge, much like a diamond-tipped drill piercing through ice. You are not easily swayed by emotional appeals or fleeting distractions. Your focus remains laser-sharp, allowing you to identify and exploit opportunities that others overlook in their chaotic reactions. This inherent strategic capacity, rooted in the archetypal energies associated with the sage, positions you as a natural planner and a formidable opponent in any arena requiring foresight and calculated action. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the shadow aspects of archetypes. For the January-born Arctic strategist, the shadow trap lies in the potential for isolation to become an impenetrable fortress. The very strength that allows you to operate independently and with focused intensity can, if unchecked, lead to a detachment from the social fabric. While solitude is a valuable tool for introspection and strategic planning, excessive isolation can breed stagnation and a failure to leverage the strengths of others. The Sigma Protocol, as we understand it, is not about complete withdrawal, but about the weaponization of solitude. This means consciously choosing periods of isolation for strategic advantage, using the time for deep work and planning, and then re-engaging with the world with renewed purpose and precisely targeted actions. Your silence should not be mistaken for absence or weakness. Rather, it should be a period of intense preparation where you analyze, strategize, and refine your approach. Your power lies in the unseen, in the meticulous planning that unfolds beneath the surface. When you do engage, your words should carry the weight of careful consideration, deployed like sniper rounds, each one intended to reshape the intellectual or competitive landscape. Mastering this balance between strategic solitude and impactful engagement is crucial for harnessing the full potential of your January-born, sage-influenced archetype. February, the unorthodox architect. Those born in February inhabit a liminal space, the tail end of winter where the first whispers of spring begin to stir. This period of transition and the inherent tension between the old and the new profoundly shaped the psychological makeup of the February-born individual, aligning them with what Sigma male community terms the unorthodox architect. According to Carl Jung, the visionary archetype is characterized by its forward-thinking nature, its ability to see beyond the present limitations, and its drive to bring new ideas and possibilities into being. In the February-born, this visionary energy isn't simply about dreaming of a better future, it's about possessing an innate capacity to identify the flaws and limitations of existing structures and to conceive entirely new ways of organizing and operating. You possess a natural inclination to question established norms and to see the potential for radical improvement where others see only the status quo. Like an architect who can envision a completely different structure rising from the foundations of an outdated building, you are wired to dismantle systems that no longer serve their purpose and to blueprint entirely new empires of thought, innovation, or influence. Your rebellion against convention isn't driven by a desire for chaos, but by a deep-seated need for efficiency, logic, and progress. You see the cracks in outdated paradigms as opportunities for fundamental reconstruction, and you possess the intellectual courage to propose and even initiate these transformative changes. However, Carl Jung also highlighted the potential pitfalls associated with the visionary archetype. For the February-born unorthodox architect, a significant shadow trap lies in the tendency for their groundbreaking ideas to outpace their ability to execute them. The sheer volume and novelty of your insights can sometimes lead to a disconnect between conception and realization. The Sigma fix for this potential imbalance involves treating innovation with the strategic discipline of a Black Ops mission. Instead of broadcasting every nascent idea, learn to infiltrate mainstream structures. Subtly plant your intellectual explosives, the seeds of disruptive change, and then detonate them from within through carefully planned and executed actions. Your genius thrives not in the vacuum of pure ideation, but in the tangible impact you can create by strategically leveraging existing systems to bring your unconventional visions to life. Embrace the role of the quiet disruptor, the one who works from the shadows to reshape the world according to a more innovative and effective design. By focusing on strategic implementation and targeted action, you can harness the full power of your February-born, visionary-influenced archetype and leave an indelible mark on the world through your unorthodox and groundbreaking creations. March. The Phoenix Operative. For those who arrive in March, at the tumultuous intersection of winter's demise and spring's vibrant resurgence, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes manifests in a particularly dynamic and transformative way. Sigma male community identifies this individual as the Phoenix Operative, embodying the inherent capacity for rebirth and the mastery of controlled chaos. According to Carl Jung, the awakener archetype is associated with change, transformation, and the challenging of existing structures to pave the way for new growth. In the March-born, this archetype takes on a profound dimension of psychological shapeshifting. You possess an innate understanding of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, and you do not shy away from periods of upheaval or collapse. In fact, you often possess an uncanny ability to orchestrate these very periods of transformation, both within yourself and in your environment, knowing that destruction is often a necessary precursor to the emergence of something stronger and more resilient. Your sensitivity to subtle shifts and undercurrents, much like a tactical sonar detecting changes before they become overt, allows you to anticipate and navigate periods of volatility with a unique advantage. This deep attunement to the ebb and flow of change makes you a powerful agent of transformation. However, Carl Jung also recognized the potential for the awakener archetype to be overwhelmed by the very forces of change it embodies. For the March-born Phoenix operative, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of being consumed by emotional tsunamis. Your heightened sensitivity, while a source of great insight and adaptability, can also make you vulnerable to the turbulent energies around you. The Sigma maneuver for navigating this challenge involves channeling this inner turmoil into kinetic energy. Instead of being swept away by emotional waves, learn to harness their power as a source of propulsion. Let every setback, every challenge, become an opportunity for growth and evolution. Your resilience is not simply about enduring hardship, it is about actively leveraging adversity to forge a stronger, more refined version of yourself. This is evolutionary warfare on a personal level, where you continually adapt and emerge from the ashes of old selves, stronger and more capable than before. By consciously directing your emotional energy and embracing the transformative potential of chaos, you can fully embody the Phoenix operative archetype and rise repeatedly from adversity, wielding change as your most potent weapon. April, the Blitz Commander. Those born in April arrive with the burgeoning energy of spring fully unleashed, a time of rapid growth and assertive new beginnings. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes aligns powerfully with what Sigma male community designates as the Blitz Commander, characterized by an innate drive for decisive action and immediate impact. According to Carl Jung, the warrior archetype embodies courage, assertiveness, and the willingness to confront obstacles head-on. In the April-born, this archetype manifests not as brute force, but as a capacity for lightning strike efficacy. You possess a natural inclination to initiate action with minimal hesitation and maximum impact, much like a neural impulse that triggers an immediate response. Your energy is palpable and can be both inspiring to allies and intimidating to adversaries. Procrastination is antithetical to your nature. You thrive on momentum and view action as the essential element for achieving any objective. The raw, untamed energy of spring fuels your inherent drive to take charge and to move with swift and decisive purpose. You are a natural initiator, capable of cutting through inertia and driving projects and endeavors forward with remarkable speed and intensity. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential downsides of the warrior archetype when not tempered with wisdom and control. Instead of broadcasting every nascent idea, learn to infiltrate mainstream structures. Subtly plant your intellectual explosives, the seeds of disruptive change, and then detonate them from within through carefully planned and executed actions. Your genius thrives not in the vacuum of pure ideation, but in the tangible impact you can create by strategically leveraging existing systems to bring your unconventional visions to life. Embrace the role of the quiet disruptor, the one who works from the shadows to reshape the world according to a more innovative and effective design. By focusing on strategic implementation and targeted action, you can harness the full power of your February-born, visionary-influenced archetype and leave an indelible mark on the world through your unorthodox and groundbreaking creations. March. The Phoenix Operative. For those who arrive in March, at the tumultuous intersection of winter's demise and spring's vibrant resurgence, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes manifests in a particularly dynamic and transformative way. Sigma male community identifies this individual as the Phoenix operative, embodying the inherent capacity for rebirth and the mastery of controlled chaos. According to Carl Jung, the awakener archetype is associated with change, transformation, and the challenging of existing structures to pave the way for new growth. In the March-born, this archetype takes on a profound dimension of psychological shapeshifting. You possess an innate understanding of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, and you do not shy away from periods of upheaval or collapse. In fact, you often possess an uncanny ability to orchestrate these very periods of transformation, both within yourself and in your environment, knowing that destruction is often a necessary precursor to the emergence of something stronger and more resilient. Your sensitivity to subtle shifts and undercurrents, much like a tactical sonar detecting changes before they become overt, allows you to anticipate and navigate periods of volatility with a unique advantage. This deep attunement to the ebb and flow of change makes you a powerful agent of transformation. However, Carl Jung also recognized the potential for the awakener archetype to be overwhelmed by the very forces of change it embodies. For the March-born Phoenix operative, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of being consumed by emotional tsunamis. Your heightened sensitivity, while a source of great insight and adaptability, can also make you vulnerable to the turbulent energies around you. The Sigma maneuver for navigating this challenge involves channeling this inner turmoil into kinetic energy. Instead of being swept away by emotional waves, learn to harness their power as a source of propulsion. Let every setback, every challenge, become an opportunity for growth and evolution. Your resilience is not simply about enduring hardship, it is about actively leveraging adversity to forge a stronger, more refined version of yourself. This is evolutionary warfare on a personal level, where you continually adapt and emerge from the ashes of old selves, stronger and more capable than before. By consciously directing your emotional energy and embracing the transformative potential of chaos, you can fully embody the Phoenix operative archetype and rise repeatedly from adversity, wielding change as your most potent weapon. April, the Blitz Commander. Those born in April arrive with the burgeoning energy of spring fully unleashed, a time of rapid growth and assertive new beginnings. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes aligns powerfully with what Sigma male community designates as the Blitz Commander, characterized by an innate drive for decisive action and immediate impact. According to Carl Jung, the warrior archetype embodies courage, assertiveness, and the willingness to confront obstacles head-on. In the April-born, this archetype manifests not as brute force, but as a capacity for lightning strike efficacy. You possess a natural inclination to initiate action with minimal hesitation and maximum impact, much like a neural impulse that triggers an immediate response. Your energy is palpable and can be both inspiring to allies and intimidating to adversaries. Procrastination is antithetical to your nature. You thrive on momentum and view action as the essential element for achieving any objective. The raw, untamed energy of spring fuels your inherent drive to take charge and to move with swift and decisive purpose. You are a natural initiator, capable of cutting through inertia and driving projects and endeavors forward with remarkable speed and intensity. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential downsides of the warrior archetype when not tempered with wisdom and control. Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential for the seeker archetype to become lost in the endless pursuit of information without ever translating that knowledge into concrete action. For the June-born Nexus ambassador, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of becoming a passive information sponge, absorbing vast amounts of data without effectively synthesizing it or using it to achieve specific goals. The Sigma play for overcoming this tendency involves actively transforming raw data into tangible dominance. Cultivate your contacts not merely as acquaintances, but as strategic assets, carefully evaluating the potential return on investment, be it in terms of influence, valuable insights, or the capacity for future collaboration and ignition of projects. Every relationship you nurture should have a clear strategic purpose. By consciously directing your innate curiosity and actively leveraging your understanding of social dynamics, you can move beyond simply gathering information and instead become a true Nexus ambassador, strategically wielding your network to achieve significant influence and advance your objectives. The Sigma Imperative. This isn't some whimsical foray into astrology for the easily swayed. This is your psychological armory, forged in the depths of Carl Jung's profound understanding of the human psyche. While the masses, the NPCs as we call them, sleepwalk through life, passively accepting the narratives presented to them, you, as a Sigma, are dissecting Jungian archetypes because you operate at a higher echelon of cognitive function. Your birth month is not some arbitrary cosmic alignment dictating your fate. It is your embedded psychological firmware, the foundational programming that shapes your inherent strengths and potential weaknesses. It is your responsibility to master this firmware, to understand its nuances, to identify its limitations, and to strategically rewire it to serve your ultimate objectives. This knowledge is not meant for passive consumption. It is a tool for self-mastery and for exerting your will upon the world. Weaponize this understanding, integrate it into your strategic thinking. Become the conscious architect of your own psychological landscape. July, the Shadow Regent. For those born in July, the heart of summer, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes manifests in a way that emphasizes unseen influence and the subtle architecture of loyalty. Sigma male community identifies this individual as the Shadow Regent, one who understands and manipulates emotional infrastructure with the precision of an engineer assessing load-bearing walls. According to Carl Jung, the protector archetype embodies the drive to safeguard, support, and nurture others. In the July-born, this archetype doesn't always manifest as overt acts of heroism, but rather as a deep-seated understanding of the emotional bonds that hold individuals and groups together. You possess an almost intuitive grasp of the emotional needs and vulnerabilities of those around you, and you are adept at building and reinforcing these connections with quiet, often unnoticed effort. You are the unseen architect of loyalty, the one who fortifies the emotional foundations upon which families, alliances, and even empires stand. Your commitment to those you deem worthy of your protection is unwavering, and you work diligently behind the scenes to ensure their stability and well-being. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential for the protector archetype to become overly self-sacrificing and to neglect their own needs in the service of others. For the July-born Shadow Regent, a significant shadow trap lies in the danger of sacrificing your own core identity and resources to perpetually maintain the well-being of others. The Sigma rule in this context is to protect your own energy with the same vigilance you apply to safeguarding others. Empathy is a powerful tool, your psychological scalpel, capable of deep and effective intervention when necessary. However, it should be wielded with precision and strategic intent. Avoid the trap of bleeding out emotionally for those who do not reciprocate or who exploit your protective instincts. Your loyalty is a valuable asset. Invest it wisely and ensure that your own foundations remain strong. By maintaining clear boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being, you can become a more effective and sustainable Shadow Regent, wielding your protective instincts with strategic wisdom and ensuring the long-term strength of both yourself and those you choose to support. August. The solar sovereign individuals born in August arrive in the full intensity of late summer, a period associated with peak power and radiant authority. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes aligns strongly with what Sigma male community terms the solar sovereign, characterized by an innate ability to command attention and exert influence through sheer presence and competence. According to Carl Jung, the leader archetype embodies the qualities of authority, direction, and the capacity to inspire and guide others. In the August-born, this archetype manifests not necessarily through overt displays of dominance, but rather as a form of gravitational dominance. People are naturally drawn to your energy and your confidence, and your presence has a subtle but undeniable effect on the dynamics around you. Confidence is your natural camouflage, allowing you to navigate various social landscapes with an air of assuredness. However, your true power lies in your relentless, often quiet, competence. You back up your presence with a demonstrable ability to achieve results, earning the respect and deference of those around you through your actions rather than mere pronouncements. However, Carl Jung also recognized the potential for the leader archetype to become isolated by their own authority. For the August-born solar sovereign, a significant shadow trap lies in the isolation that can come with occupying a position of perceived superiority. The very qualities that draw people to you can also create a distance if not managed carefully. The Sigma protocol in this context is to rule like a star, to nourish the planets within your system, providing guidance and support to those who operate within your sphere of influence. However, you must also possess the discernment and the will to incinerate parasites, those who seek to exploit your authority or drain your resources without contributing meaningfully. Your light of influence and competence should serve to guide and empower those around you, not to blind them with arrogance or create an unbridgeable divide. By cultivating genuine connection and wielding your authority with wisdom and a focus on mutual growth, you can fully embody the solar sovereign archetype and build a lasting legacy of influence and achievement. September. The algorithm architect. Those born in September arrive with the shift towards autumn, a time associated with harvest, analysis, and the meticulous organization of resources. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes aligns powerfully with what Sigma male community identifies as the algorithm architect, someone who possesses an innate drive to transform chaos into order and to identify and optimize underlying systems. According to Carl Jung, the analyst archetype is characterized by a logical mind, a keen eye for detail, and the ability to dissect complex problems into their constituent parts. In the September-born, this archetype manifests as an internal supercomputer, a mind that is constantly processing information, identifying patterns, and translating raw data into executable code. Inefficiencies and flaws are not merely noticed. They feel almost like a physical discomfort, driving you to seek solutions and to create systems that operate with precision and effectiveness. Your mind is a forge capable of taking raw, unstructured information and hammering it into sharp, functional tools and strategies. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential for the analyst archetype to become trapped in the pursuit of perfect understanding and to suffer from paralysis by over-analysis. For the September-born algorithm architect, a significant shadow trap lies in the tendency to become so fixated on dissecting every detail that you lose sight of the overarching objective or fail to take timely action. The Sigma solution for overcoming this potential pitfall involves learning to strategically target your precision. Instead of subjecting every aspect of a situation to exhaustive scrutiny, focus your analytical power on those elements that are most critical to achieving your mission. Understand that perfection is a valuable tool, but it should not become the ultimate destination. Sometimes a good solution implemented promptly is far more effective than a perfect solution that remains perpetually in the planning stages. By directing your inherent analytical abilities with a clear strategic focus and prioritizing effective action, you can fully embody the algorithm architect archetype and leverage your logical mind to build powerful and efficient systems that drive success. October, the aesthetic warlord. Individuals born in October arrive with the full beauty and subtle decay of autumn, a time characterized by balance, diplomacy, and an underlying tension between opposing forces. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes finds resonance in what Sigma male community terms the aesthetic warlord, someone who masters conflict not through direct confrontation, but through the strategic creation of harmony and the subtle manipulation of psychological landscapes. According to Carl Jung, the diplomat archetype is associated with balance, negotiation, and the ability to mediate between opposing viewpoints. In the October born, this archetype manifests as a mastery of psychological aikido, the ability to use the force of an opponent against themselves, dissolving conflict through strategic harmony rather than direct engagement. Your eye is particularly attuned to imbalances and fractures within systems, allowing you to detect potential points of failure or conflict before they fully manifest. You possess a natural talent for creating environments and interactions that subtly guide others towards equilibrium and resolution. However, Carl Jung also recognized the potential for the diplomat archetype to prioritize peace at the expense of truth or necessary confrontation. For the October-born aesthetic warlord, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of sacrificing fundamental principles for the sake of temporary harmony. The Sigma strategy for navigating this challenge involves learning to weaponize beauty. This doesn't mean superficial aesthetics, but rather the deliberate design of environments, both physical and social, that subtly crush distraction, promote focus, and reinforce desired behaviors. Your spaces should feel like a silent command to elevate or exit, subtly influencing those within them towards higher standards and more productive interactions. Your diplomacy should be a tool for achieving strategic objectives, not an end in itself. By strategically leveraging your understanding of balance and harmony, and by consciously designing your environments to support your goals, you can fully embody the aesthetic warlord archetype and wield the power of subtle influence to achieve lasting and meaningful results without unnecessary conflict. November, the Black Site Alchemist. Those born in November arrive in the depths of late autumn, a period associated with introspection, transformation, and the often unseen processes of decay and regeneration. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes aligns powerfully with what Sigma male community identifies as the Black Site Alchemist, someone who operates in the psychological underworld, capable of transmuting pain and adversity into profound strength and wisdom. According to Carl Jung, the transformer archetype is characterized by its capacity for profound inner change and its ability to navigate the darker aspects of the human psyche. In the November-born, this archetype manifests as an innate ability to undergo significant personal metamorphosis in the face of hardship, pain, loss, betrayal. These are not merely endured. They are actively reverse-engineered, broken down, and transmuted into fuel for growth and resilience. Darkness is not your enemy. It is your workshop, the crucible in which your most significant transformations take place. You possess a unique capacity to extract strength and insight from experiences that would cripple others. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential for the transformer archetype to become consumed by the very darkness they seek to master. For the November-born Black Site Alchemist, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of losing oneself in the abyss of trauma and negative experiences. The Sigma directive for navigating this challenge is to maintain conscious control over the transformative process, Let trauma refine you, much like uranium is refined to harness its latent power. Learn to extract the valuable lessons and the increased resilience without succumbing to self-destruction or being perpetually defined by past hurts. Control the reaction, dictate the terms of your transformation, and emerge from the darkness not merely as a survivor, but as someone who has alchemized adversity into formidable strength and profound wisdom. By consciously engaging with your inner darkness and directing the transformative process, you can fully embody the black site alchemist archetype and harness the power of your experiences to achieve extraordinary levels of personal growth and resilience. December, the temporal strategist. Individuals born in December arrive at the edge of the year, a time of reflection on the past and anticipation of the future, imbued with a unique perspective on the flow of time. For these individuals, Carl Jung's concept of the archetypes finds resonance in what Sigma male community terms the temporal strategist, someone who merges the wisdom of hindsight with an uncanny ability for prophetic foresight. According to Carl Jung, the sage archetype, in this context, takes on a temporal dimension, blending the understanding of past patterns with the ability to anticipate future consequences. In the December-born, this manifests as an almost intuitive grasp of how events unfold over time. You see the potential ramifications of current actions stretching far into the future, much like a chess grandmaster who can visualize multiple variations several moves ahead. Your insights are often characterized by their long-term perspective, allowing you to make decisions and formulate plans with a deep understanding of their eventual outcomes. However, Carl Jung also cautioned about the potential for the sage archetype to become detached from the present reality, lost in abstract contemplation, without translating insight into action. For the December-born temporal strategist, a significant shadow trap lies in the risk of floating in the realm of abstract possibilities without anchoring your visions in concrete steps. The Sigma imperative for overcoming this tendency is to actively translate your prophetic foresight into tangible plans and executable strategies. Your insights should not remain as abstract musings. They should land with the precision of guided missiles, silent, often undetectable in their initial stages, but capable of shifting the landscape in profound and lasting ways. Ground your long-term vision in immediate action. Use your understanding of future consequences to inform your present decisions and to strategically position yourself for long-term success. By bridging the gap between foresight and execution, you can fully embody the temporal strategist archetype and wield your unique understanding of time to shape not only your own destiny, but also the trajectory of events around you. Sigma execution. Order. These archetypes, revealed through the profound lens of Carl Jung's psychology, are not mere labels. They are the core components of your psychological special operations team. January, the Arctic strategist, clears the path with calculated precision. December, the temporal strategist, secures the long-term future with prophetic foresight. The archetypes in between represent a spectrum of powerful capabilities, from the disruptive innovation of February to the transformative resilience of November. Now, the imperative for every Sigma male community member is clear. Synergize these inherent strengths. Understand how the different facets of your psychological makeup can work in concert, complementing each other and amplifying your overall effectiveness. Your birth month is more than just a date on a calendar. It is your command center, the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of your innate potential. Stop passively consuming information about self-improvement. Start actively commanding the forces within you. Master your archetypal blueprint, and you will master your destiny. Stay vigilant, stay independent, and continue to forge your own path here at Sigma Male Community.